welcome to Insight Unlocked, a podcast by the Business Research Company, where we explore the ideas, challenges, and strategic thinking shaping market intelligence today. Hello, everyone, and I'm Soumya, your host, and I'm really excited to welcome you to today's episode with none other than our very own Chief Marketing Officer, someone who has probably seen most, learned the most from the AI market, and spoken to the largest number of professionals who are actively working with AI and applying it across industries. So, when it comes to understanding the realities of how AI actually is changing the market or not just in theory, but in real business situations, there are very few people who have a clearer pulse on what's happening. Please join me in welcoming Nitin, CMO of the Business Research Company.
Hey, thanks, Soumya. Happy to be here.
So, everyone, let me tell you a bit about Nitin. Uh, Nitin has been a key part of the business research company for over a decade. And during this time, he has been one of the closest people to the market itself. And when I say this, through thousands of clients' the conversations over the period of more than a decade and industry discussions, along with real world projects. He has been at the center of understanding what businesses actually need from research and intelligence. He's someone who just doesn't look at trends from a distance, but he hears directly from clients across industries what they are trying to resolve and has a very sharp perspective on how technologies such as AI are influencing the way businesses think about research today. And for today's topic, Nitin, we are going to discuss a question that many businesses are asking right now. Can AI really replace secondary market research? And there's a lot of excitement around AI today, and we often hear statements such as, can AI do research in minutes? Or can AI generate insights automatically? Or ultimately, can AI just replace analysts altogether? So, today we are going to understand from whether or not AI is going to replace our jobs. Let's get started, Nitin. So, my first question to you is, shall we start?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So my first question to you is, why do you think so many people today believe that AI can replace secondary market research?
Well, AI has been quite a big thing in the last couple of years. People have started using AI in their daily lives. It has started to replace Google search in many ways as it quickly summarizes a lot of information. And since people find it very useful in day to day life for very general sort of research, they sort of con- confuse that with AI being able to replace market research that is meant for companies to take decisions of millions of dollars that they would be investing and expanding into different markets. So people are definitely confusing the speed with insight. AI, of course, can process information quickly, but it doesn't truly interpret markets the way analysts do. So many assume research is just about collecting information, on different markets, maybe market size and things like that. But it sort of goes beyond that. It also involves not just collecting information, but actually validating whether that information is correct or not, triangulating the different pieces of information you get from different sources to look at whether it's actually valid. And then it also depends on the judgment of the analyst on how well, uh, you know, the judgment of the analysts in terms of their understanding of these markets, who've been looking at these markets through different time periods. So it's not just going to replace market research overnight. It's something that's been done by analysts over the years. Outputs do sound confident and authoritative, which makes people trust them even when they may be incomplete or biased. So I've used AI personally many times for different use cases in market research. AI would give you an answer in minutes, It'll sound very confident and authoritative in giving you those answers, but a lot of times these answers might be incorrect. And because of the tone AI uses, you might just fall into the trap of thinking, oh, this is brilliant. I can just use this and make business decisions, and they might end up being very costly to you. So, and now with the way the world is, there is pressure on growth because of various things happening around the world right now. There's cost pressure on companies to save cost. So a lo- one of the biggest places companies run to cut costs is on research costs, saying that, oh, you could just do this through AI. Why do we really need to spend a lot of money on a research agency to get information? But what often gets ignored is that AI has no accountability uh, if it gives you the wrong information. At best, you would do what? Cancel your subscription to AI? But if your information is incorrect, a research agency is held accountable. They help you generate better insights. They get you the information you need for your business and still support you when you're using that information and executing your strategies. Uh, so this still requires human analysts. So now the question is like, do you really trust AI or an analyst when you're putting your money for expanding your business?
I absolutely agree, Nitin. From the point where you started talking about accountability and validation of the information, that's something that confidence cannot mirror. Confidence can be built up, and the way AI gives us its outputs is more confidence over the validation and accountability. And that brings me to to the second claim that I've been hearing a lot more. That is, can AI do research in minutes? From what I understand, is that yes, it can help us accelerate the process, but from your experience, what part of research can AI genuinely accelerate, and where does it still fall short?
So now AI can look at a lot of sources and at the same time miss a lot of sources of information. So it can scan the
Yeah.
sources that it has access to and get all of that information. But at the same time, it cannot access a lot of sources at present, sources that are behind a paywall, sources that are really relevant. It can access sources that are open source and where the quality of information can be questionable. So, when AI is going through these large volumes of publicly available information quickly, what it definitely misses is which sources are really reliable, which sources are not very reliable, and it sort of interprets a lot of conflicting data and provides an interpretation of that data that just might not be true. Uh, so, because AI does not have real world experience of how these markets work or which sources have proven to be reliable over the years, it sort of looks at all sources at once and gives you a conclusion. But that conclusion might not be right, and a lot of times it might go sideways. It can do a great job for markets where there's a lot of publicly available information that is filled with reliable sources. But a lot, let's be honest, there are a lot of markets where there is no information available out there. And so AI really can't do much in those situations.
Understood. Absolutely makes sense. From what I'm understanding is there's a ton of hallucination. The ability to interpret data is quite conflicting, and it wouldn't be able to judge the market even with respect to the publicly available information as good as an analyst, because an analyst takes accountability, plus they would validate the data with their experience. Am I correct in understanding this?
Yes. So, of course, AI lacks experience and AI lacks the ability to weigh sources based on their reliability.
Correct. Right. So that brings me to my next question. That would be clearing another doubt that has been circulating quite a lot on social media and major platforms where people are telling us that here are the top three prompts which can help you create a market report, or, you know, how can AI generated insights be so objective and unbiased? But from what I'm understanding is there's a ton of hallucinations. So there's always an underlying bias. So could you explain us why that isn't the case, and how can a set of prompts not give you the research with the quality that you should need?
Sure, Soumya. So the way AI works is that, like I mentioned earlier, it looks at existing data that's out there. And the data out there, if there are biases within that data, those biases are also picked up by AI. So the output can vary depending on how the prompt is framed, how AI can sometimes also sort of hallucinate information while sounding very confident. It also doesn't sort of verify the sources, and the biases creep in. So let me give you an example. So if, say, someone who sells a B2C product is looking for uh, the reviews people have been writing about that product. And it would ask AI, and AI would look through Amazon reviews or Reddit reviews or reviews through various e commerce sites. Now, we all know that a lot of B2C products, there are a lot of paid reviews by influencers, by paid marketers, etc. And if those reviews supersede the number of actual reviews, AI is going to pick them up and interpret those paid reviews as good reviews. And you really don't have what you set out to do, right? So you don't have the real voice of the customer in that case, because AI is looking at a large section of paid reviews and a very small section of actual reviews. And in a lot of cases, products that receive bad reviews, they also get deleted by the people selling those products. So the data is
Absolutely.
biased to begin with, and then AI looks at this biased set of data and gives you a biased answer. And if you are a company that's trying to compete with that product in the market, you might think, okay, there is no gap in the market. Everyone's very happy with that product. But that's not really true. And only a research agency in that case could help you understand the actual real world experience of customers regarding that product, and then tell you where the gaps or unmet needs really are.
Absolutely. So, Nitin, from what I'm understanding, let me conclude the points that make sense to me. There's a lot of hallucination, that's the underlying base. And then you need data that is qualified for your strategies, for the decisions that you would be making. And therein comes an very important factor of analysts, an agency which would back your data, which would give you the correct set of information and build them into insights that you can utilize to frame your strategies. And when you're doing that, you can use AI to collect data, but then you will have to have a third eye look at it, or a trained eye look at it and give you the perspective so that it can be applicable towards your business. So that brings me to my next question, that some people are arguing in the market that human analysts are slow and they do slow research, and they do not add, they add unnecessary costs. And from your perspective and experience, what role do experienced analysts actually play in producing high quality research?
So, humans don't necessarily slow down the research process, but one there are two parts to it, right? So till now we've been saying, oh, AI is really bad and all of that. AI is good in some specific areas, and analysts use them as well. And it's specifically to, summarize information or to look at a set of sources. So after using AI, analysts are being more efficient on tasks that were maybe manual in the past. So that part of AI sort of helps them speed up the process. But research in general especially if you're doing interview based research, interviews with your competitors, interviews with your customers, etc., or your distributors, or across the supply chain. It is a slow process. So, as the age old saying goes, like good things always take time. So, and of course, AI, as we've spoken about multiple times in the previous questions, can speed up desk research through a limited set of sources, but it cannot speed up your interview generation or human intelligence process. Uh, getting the right, getting to the right person within companies, getting people to participate in the research, ensuring that the research interviews are giving you the kind of insights you need and are in line with the objectives of your research, and then analyzing that data. And when you analyze that data, you can, of course, use AI. It can pick up all the basic uh, things and analyze it for you. But then there are also cultural nuances when you're doing this kind of research, which AI might not be able to pick up for you, which the analysts do pick up on, and then use their own judgment, provide insights, what the insights mean for the customer's business, how he should be interpreting those insights, and what sort of suggested next actions it should be taking into its business. So, more importantly, research is not traditionally how research is done is not a fast process. It is a slow process because you have to go through the entire process of collecting that information. AI can help you in some parts of it in terms of collecting information from certain secondary sources or analyzing your data quickly, but for markets where there is no data available out there and interviews are your only source, it is a slow process. So AI will never be able to replicate that process and let alone speed it up. So the only places where it could speed it up are in terms of analyzing the data, summarizing the data, or uh, and maybe to an extent of 10 to 15%. And then there is the judgment of the analyst, and when he presents that data, and the accountability of the agency to stand by that data in a boardroom with all decision makers and helping companies navigate through all of that data and take suggested next steps for their business.
All right. So I think that is one of the most important answers for our podcast today. And that does bring me to a couple of more questions that I have from what I'm understanding. So I do believe that, it does reduce time and we have to work hand in hand with AI and utilize it where we can for the manual processes. And that brings an which in research might be considered more of primary research and understanding from humans what exactly is going on within their industry. So, to put that together, do you believe that, how there are influencers or people within social media or from different sort of companies who are saying or, articulating prompts on, let's say, take the example of LinkedIn, and they're telling us that use these set of prompts or AI tools together, and we will build ourselves an analysis with useful insights and which can help you further develop your strategies. And you need not hire a market intelligence agency. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, of course, we've seen a lot of prompts on LinkedIn, etc., where they ask you to be an analyst at the Big Four and draft your market entry plan, etc.
Yep.
But that doesn't really give you a fully executable market entry plan. So, like we spoke earlier, there are biases in the data, there is confidence on biased data, and then there is authoritative tone on what you should be doing for your business. Like that's the last thing you should be doing, and there's no other thing that you can do to uh, take your business to a different level. But that's not true.
Yeah.
uh, AI tools can help you get quick information or do quick data collection, etc. But at the end of the day, you need to sit with board members of different companies, with business owners, business decision makers, to understand what their challenges are, uh, what have they been doing to currently circumvent or beat those challenges, what are still the gaps in their understanding of the market, what are areas that are lacking in their business, how does their business compare to their competitors' businesses, how do their processes benchmark against their competitors. So there are multiple parts of and functions of a business that you need to look at to be able to dole out advice on what a company should be doing to improve its positioning in that market, to be able to expand into those markets, to stay ahead of their competition. So you can make very hyper specific prompts. It can give you information against each of the questions you give. But then the pieces where you're trying to really piece together all of the information to an executable strategy, you still really need high quality data. You need people with experience. You need people who understand the cultural nuances from different markets. And getting all of that in one place is a challenge. And I don't think any AI tool can do all of that for you. It might give you a broad outline of what you need to do, but the outline is as good as the data and inputs it has. Now, from where I sit as a CMO, it's not built on well written outputs, it's built on well understood markets. AI can help structure that information, but that doesn't automatically translate into strategic insight. Even if you combine multiple AI tools, they're still largely processing the same pool of publicly available information. Prompts can make AI output look sophisticated, but then strategy requires judgment about what actually matters for a specific market, geography, or a customer segment. In my conversations with clients, what they value most is not the data itself, it's the experience of the analysts who understand the signals behind the data, what their opinion is. One of the questions we get asked the most: okay, you presented the data, but what is your opinion? Do you think we should be entering this market? Do you think a product here would work? And that's where the real value of research agencies come in. So AI absolutely can reduce manual effort in research workflows, but when companies are making strategic decisions that involve millions of dollars, they still want human expertise, validating the insight and giving them their opinions, so that in the end, you're not going to throw away all that money just because a large language model asked you to.
Absolutely, Nitin. There are a couple of points that stuck with me. First is people or your clients asking you, what do you think? I think that's the baseline, or that's the confidence level that that a research agency provides to their client, and they're accountable for it. They help them with the human perspective of understanding rather than just going through a pool of data, and not building things upon the fake confidence that an output might give them. So there's another very interesting misconception which I've picked up, and that builds upon the fact that um, data automatically leads to better decisions, or something like, if your output is built up with confidence, that's great quality. And I don't believe that. And I see this misconception leading around a lot lately. So, in your experience working with clients, where you say that they ask you for the perspective and what would you think that we should be doing, why is just a confident output not of the great quality when AI has access to so much data and information?
Well, better decisions don't come from more data, they come from better interpretations of the data. I can, make a very aesthetically beautiful report, but if the data in there uh, is biased and incorrect or from unreliable sources, you cannot use it to define your strategy. And more data often creates more noise, not more clarity. What businesses actually need is relevant insight, not larger data sets. uh, the real value of research is in filtering signals from noise to help you understand what data points matter the most for your business and what data points you should be looking at, and improving what indicators of your business should you really be improving upon to get ahead in your business. A lot of times you can look at doing everything perfectly, but the reality is that there are some things you need to do perfectly, and the others, if you're 80/20 on, you can still get ahead in the market. So data needs context and interpretation to become actionable, and confidence in an answer doesn't equal accuracy, especially with automated outputs.
Yep. On understanding that, so let's talk about the future. So, looking ahead, do you see AI and human expertise working together for market research?
Absolutely. AI will accelerate the research process. I would say some parts of the research process by automating data collection and helping you summarize a lot of the data you've collected. It will, I would look at AI as a tool that supplements human analysts, and so it is a really good and a powerful tool to be used by analysts, but it's not the end answer for getting all your research needs. So the future model will be where there is human-led research with AI-supported research together. So all of the manual work would get reduced, but expert judgment will still remain critical. So the real advantage will come from analysts who know how to use AI effectively, but not who are totally dependent on AI for everything.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the business research company over here. How is the business research company utilizing AI with human analysts? I understand that there are multiple industries that the business research company covers, and then we have experts across life sciences, technology, finance, all of the industries basically. So, how do you think the business research company is utilizing AI for the market that is right now?
So we are using AI in multiple ways. We're using AI to do some amount of basic data collection. We're using AI to input high quality data points and get summaries of that data. And we of course are using it in a lot of ways, which is probably 20 to 30% of the overall research process. But still, the 70% is being done by our analysts who have great expertise in different markets. And so we're using a hybrid model to deliver our services. So, which of course helps us reduce costs, give high quality insights to our customers, and so that they can also derive great value in terms of getting best of both worlds, getting the speed and the efficiency gains from AI, as well as the expertise and knowledge of our analysts of looking at these markets over time to help customers derive, get greater insights in a shorter period of time, and also at very sort of aggressive pricing.
All right. So, from what I'm understanding, is the business research company is not relying on AI completely, but it is making it do the work that it can do, but you're adding the quality that is the core of every research by utilizing the information and the human intelligence by your analysts and delivering the key insights that are applicable. And that brings me to my final question, Nitin, today. That is, if as a business leader like yourself, you're trying to navigate all of the noise that is around us about AI today, what are the key things that one should keep in mind while using AI for research and decision making?
Uh, of course, do use AI, but be very careful at being using it as is. Always recheck what AI is doing for you, always try and validate the information you have, speak to people in your industry, speak to your customers, speak to your competitors, and get a more holistic view of the markets. So, uh, so research has always been about keeping your eyes and ears open across the supply chain, right from where you buy your raw materials to how you produce your products, to how you distribute them and how it gets consumed in the end. So keeping an eye out on all aspects of the supply chain and researching them and speaking to people, as well as using AI in combination with all of the information you gather, would help you gain very good insight. And if you're ever in doubt, of course, there are companies like us who can help you validate your understanding of the market or help you get information that you don't already have on your markets.
All right. Nitin, I mentioned that that was my last question, but I think I'm going to bring up the most controversial question that I also have. Is AI going to take up our jobs?
If you don't use AI, then your jobs might get taken up. So do use AI for doing all of the manual tasks that you do, but also don't use AI blindly,
Yeah.
or else then you're most definite to lose your job. So yeah, that's
I
where I'll
think,
end it at.
all right. I think that's the most objective answer I've received for this question till now. We thank you so much for your time, Nitin, and looking forward to having you again with more questions on it. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you.